Yes, guys, you know what time it is. It's your boy Jack here, bringing you your preview, bringing your pre-match build-up this morning. Everybody, it is a London derby morning, at least for me. Up nice and early. Dave will not be joining us. Everybody, a bit of a family emergency. Kind of won't go any further in that, but please, everybody, do keep him in your thoughts and please kind of wish him well, at least in the chat. And if you do have his number as well, I do think you would appreciate it. But I can't really go further in that because I think we are here to talk about football. We are here to talk about the London Derby. And we are joined by Kuva and Philip, the Godfather first I'll go to. How are you doing this morning?
Yeah, good. Looking forward to this now. Time to go back to the football after all the talk about the transfer deadline. And it's a very winnable match. Difficult game today. Fulham are no dozers, as there was no easy matches. But I think we've got to make a statement today and 3 points.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Kuva, how are you doing?
Yeah, pretty much the same sort of sentiment. The transfer window is starting to tear us apart a bit again. Arguments over things. It's something we all agree on. We just want to focus on the team and get some results in, and a nice bit of football for us.
Speaking of which, let's focus on the team and get a result today. But everybody, while you're already in here, do smash that like button. And like I said, if you are piling in and if you are coming in here, do wish Dave well and do wish his family well. I'm not going to go further in that, but please, everybody, do keep him in your thoughts because he will be taking, I think, a day off today. But everybody, everything you need to know before we get into it, it is, of course, a home game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, 3 p.m. kickoff, 10 a.m. over here in the East Coast, 7 a.m. back over in the West Coast. And then referee Stuart Atwell, I'm pretty sure that is not a likable one for us. And then VAR is Andre Mariner. Pretty bad combination there, I must be honest. Philip, any knowledge on those two referees before I keep going?
Stuart Atwell is the guy that denied us the penalty against West Ham. So, and he's the referee that famously a few years ago gave a goal that never was. The ball went in through the side of the net, not into the net, and he gave a goal. I think he lost he was relegated to the Championship after that. So I've never had any faith in him. And Wednesday night did not change my opinion one little bit. Andre Mariner, well, I don't know. You know, he hasn't been too bad to us, but I'd say Atwell in the middle is the one that worries me a little bit because someone's got to take up Mike Dean's mantle.
They're all competing for it. TV channel in the USA is going to be on Peacock, everybody, and then if it's and then as well, it's actually not on TV, unfortunately, in the UK and Ireland. But of course, you do have to watch along today, everybody, on the Irish Hotspur to be looking.
It is in Ireland, Jack. It is in Ireland TV.
Let us know.
It's showing at 3:00 on Premier channel, so we have got it here in Ireland.
Kuva, I'm not sure, if you're a cable person, but do you know, in fact, where it is in the UK? Maybe this hasn't been changed, actually.
No, I'm pretty sure it's just one of those ones. Saturdays, it's hard to get a live stream on a few games. Gotcha. They tend to wait for the sort of 5:30 kickoff or evening even.
Yeah. Definitely. And then for a bit of team news, Christian Romero and Rodrigo Bentancur could return to the side, actually, after missing the midweek draw at West Ham through injury. Pierre-Emile Højbjerg likely to be rested after picking up a pretty heavy knock in East London. Mora and Hill are still out. So those attacking options will be, again, probably on that bench, looking quite dry. Fulham, they have Harry Wilson out with a knee injury. I believe he hasn't even played a game for them yet this season. And then their new signing from Shakhtar Donetsk, Manor Solomon, is also out with a knee injury. I think he only played like 27 minutes or whatever it was before he picked up a huge injury. But like I said, everybody, before we get into it, do smash that like button. I'm going to greet a bit of the Harris Army here before we get going. But we have Elias in the chat. Good to see you. He says, big up, everyone. Come on, you Spurs. Gamer16 saying, big up, everyone. 3-0 today. I think that would be a convincing performance we're looking for. Joseph in the house. Good to see you. Spursy. Hi, people. Come on, you Spurs. Donovan Osterreicher, glad to be home again for Mitrovic and the Fulham boys. Should be a good game. I'm expecting a lot of rough and tumble. 3-1 Spurs. It is sort of a team that I'm much happier about playing at home, Donovan. That is for sure. TZ says, big up, everyone. Feeling positive. Don't know why. Don't need to explain it, TZ. You're a Spurs fan. It's just in your blood. The positivity just courses through you at unexpected moments. The hottest Spur says, let's do this. I absolutely love it. Welsh Scout saying, big up, lads. Fulham will be pesky. So let's take the game to them. No time for yet another lackluster performance. Come on, you Spurs. Well said, Welsh Scout. Wish you were in the dressing room right now telling that to him. Think they need it. Simon Cohen saying, morning all. Good to see you, Simon. George Hill saying, let's go, lads. looking forward to some rotation today. It'll be interesting to see which players Conte throws into the mix. Come on, you Spurs. Come on, you Harris. Come on, you Flat Cap Army. Absolutely love it, George. Team Mission says, please start Richie, Mr. Conte. Pretty sure you're going to be seeing Richie starting today. Team Mission, your wish will be granted. Let's see. Foggy Foam in the house saying solid win needed to build for the Champions League midweek game at home. Come on, you Spurs. I believe Dark Sun G's mentioned that, Foggy, that it is important to probably get this win here at home and then also get that Marseille win. Kind of 2 games that should be winnable for Spurs, but all needed confidence when we come up against Manchester City. Big up, Foggy. Stevie Frazier, we need a mood lifter. Come on, you Spurs. And big up the Harris and Flat Cap Armies. Come on. Big up, Stevie. Hopefully you're okay. Just making sure R Green is in the house. Good to see R Green. Morning, chaps. Everyone in the chat. Let's hope for a bit better performance today. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, R Green. Paul Mansbridge. Big up, Dave and Jack. Come on, you Spurs. Absolutely love it, Paul. Just making sure. Patty Higgins. Good to see you, Patty. Jack Bloom, 2022. Come on, you Spurs for later. Come on, you Spurs for now, my man. Big up, Jack. Amir's in the house. Big up, Jack and Phil and Kuva. Big up, Amir. Hopefully you're keeping well. Spursy as well. Carl Higgins. Brett laughed. Absolutely love it. Or Brett Laughed. I don't know. Maybe it is Brett laughed. Surely we are going to see Longley and Richarlison start today. We're going to need to see Longley because I think we need better on the ball at this moment in time, Brett. But hopefully you're keeping well. Like I said, everybody, we're going to get straight into it with the questions. I'm joined by kind of a nice, cozy panel here, a bit of wisdom, you could say. So we're going to go to the Godfather first. What are your thoughts heading into today's game? Nice and simple.
Yeah, it's unusual the way the fixtures have been thrown up for Spurs. I think we have 7 London derbies in the season, and we've had 3 of them in the first 6 matches. When you think about it, so the fixture list has not been kind. London derbies are always the hardest games to win because of the rivalry and the local. What's the one I'm looking for? Bragging rights. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, this is probably of the 3 of them we've had. Chelsea and West Ham will be the 2 more difficult. I think this is the first one we've had at home. So we've got to make a statement from minute 1. No tippy-tapping around at the back, 20 passes to get across the halfway line. Get the players in, like Romero and Longley, that can actually play the ball out quickly to the midfield so we can get at them. We sit back against Fulham at home, and the crowd's not going to like it. We're going to have a reaction. And that cannot happen because, let's face it, I'm not saying Spurs fans are fickle, but they are hard pleased, maybe. And if we're not playing the football that we've become accustomed to and expect, then things could turn nasty quickly. This is not an easy match. This is not an easy match. Fulham never are. No team ever is. Not at the moment.
Yeah, and even despite our record even despite the 5 wins and a draw, they were all close matches, apart from one, Philip. So you're absolutely right.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Despite the record, they were all close.
We haven't really kicked off yet. We've been kind of in second gear, if you like, and I think it's time we actually moved into overdrive. And maybe this is a good day to do it today. Maybe playing Fulham today is better than say playing Manchester United or Man City at home. So this is a good chance to get I won't say doubting Thomases, but to get the fans that have been very critical of things happening in the last few weeks, get them back on side and get a bit of optimism going for the Marseille game, because our big test comes next Saturday or next weekend.
I think what most Spurs fans can definitely agree on is that we know we can play better in this, and I think we're hoping, to see that probably come through today. Kuva, after giving West Ham a 1-1 draw on Wednesday, how important is it that we bounce back to keep the pressure on Arsenal and Man City at the top of the Premier League?
Oh, it's vital, without doubt. If we've got any ambitions of doing anything this season, we've got to start hitting some form. The points won't keep coming if we keep playing poorly, and I think that overall, I can take an occasional loss if we're playing well. What's really hard to stomach is watching it when it's a really grinding performance.
Maybe when you don't deserve it.
So let's just have a sort of uplifting performance. A little bit more excitement this time. As Philip said, be great to see Romero and Longley both in the side, prompting the attacks a bit better from the back, because we've been very, very poor trying to play out from the back with players that don't seem very capable of it. I think Romero alone will make a big difference. Højbjerg is, funnily enough, despite being critical of him over the last couple of seasons, he's going to be a miss. He's been playing quite well this season, I think. But, Basuma in, Bentancur back. Luckily, it looks like Bentancur's back anyway, I think.
Yeah.
Wasn't as big an injury as we'd feared. I think we might even see some players rested we're not expecting. Perisic might be one of them. Just because we've got that Champions League midweek fixture, it's a big deal. We need to be prepared for both matches. Conte's already alluded to a bit of rotation in the team.
Yeah,
Richarlison, I think, is surely going to start. You'd have to think it's likely Sonny's getting rested. But that's not so much a case of looking at it as being dropped. This is a genuine rotation situation.
Yeah, at this stage, you have to.
We have got to manage these teams because they're coming thick and fast. Was it?
Whereas in the past, we would have
6 games in the next 20 days, something like that.
Yeah. I think you're absolutely right. This is a game where you have to rotate. Like you're forced to rotate. Whereas in the past, we'd be probably still forced to rotate, but us Spurs fans probably be biting our nails maybe a bit more with kind of the players that would be coming in, knowing that they would just be much bigger drop-offs than the likes of maybe a Richarlison. I think it's very comforting to see the likes of a Richarlison come in instead. Kuba, absolutely. Good to see everyone in
current form. Would you even say it's a drop-off at the moment? It's
it's a good point because he's made the use of his minutes.
He has
made use of them. Absolutely. Everybody, while you're in here, like I said, do smash that like button. And if you are feeling up for it, do throw in your comments about maybe your score predictions, maybe questions on the game, danger men, whatever it may be. Feel free to throw them in. I will put them up on screen. But after that, Philip, Spurs have started strongly this season, picking up 11 points from a possible 15, despite Conte alluding to our players still learning to cope with those pressurized situations. Have we shown a huge improvement, though, still in the mentality this season?
We've shown a huge improvement in 2 things out of 3 here. We've a huge improvement in the points gained in the first few matches. The mentality, yes, because in previous seasons we would have probably lost those games or lost some of them. The thing we haven't improved on is the form and the football we're playing, which I have to say, apart from Southampton, has been pretty cringeworthy, for want of a better word. Now, I'm being critical of them here, but like some of the football we played against Chelsea and against Nottingham Forest was not what we expect from Spurs. And the fact that we got away with it basically in both those games, and that can't continue, as Kuva said. We're going to play teams soon that will actually take their chances, and we will be on the end of a couple of heavy beatings unless we improve. And that's why I think today is a huge opportunity that for Conte to drum it into the team. We've got to get at teams from the minute go. Not sit back and let them come at us. Go at them. We're playing at home. We're Tottenham. They're Fulham. We're expected to win, and we need to win today.
Absolutely need to win today. Kuva, your kind of thoughts on that. Have you seen maybe a change in mentality? Is it kind of sort of the same kind of dogged mentality we had last season? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think Philip's right. 2 out of 3 things, isn't it? It's as he pointed out quite rightly, the likes of going away to Chelsea, we would have normally lost that. Going to West Ham when we're not playing well and they get on top and they've had the better chances. So many times in the past, we will crumble under that sort of situation. We got a point out of it, not playing well. That is a positive thing about the team. The mentality is still there. I think there's a little bit of an improvement on the first team. I think Perisic obviously improves the quality there, but it's not all clicking at the moment. We're not attacking as a team. We're not defending as a team. There's a little bit of disjointedness in there. It's ugly to watch. We're very reliant on the front 3 coming out with the magic all the time. So far, they've scored quite a lot of goals despite all of this. But it's the state of the football that's really is the concern for all of us, because even with Mourinho ball, he used to pride himself on the fact that it wasn't about how much possession you had, it was about the big chances created. Yeah. And we are conceding those big chances. We're not shutting them out in that sort of style. Yeah, so it's not quite happening at the moment. But big players coming back into the team, some rested today. Bit of a balance, I think.
It's a good point you make there. In fact, I think we have been conceding big chances. We've been still creating big chances. I think our XG, by the looks of things, has still been kind of sort of quite high in games. But I, heard someone kind of in maybe a critical way describe Spurs. But if you wanted to be critical, I think it could be quite accurate, where they just say like Spurs just look really good every 10 minutes they'll have 30 seconds where they'll just be absolutely devastating, with some counter, some play into Kane, Kulusevski, and then they'll kind of just for the next 10 minutes just pass it back and forth between Sanchez and Dyer. And I thought that was a pretty accurate reflection of what we have kind of been witnessing is, moments of absolute devastation on, the counter or whatever it may be, maybe a ping over the top from Højbjerg. We have seen really good moments from us, but at the same time, it feels like a lot of our minutes have just been spent watching Dyer and Sanchez pass it between themselves. And I think we certainly could be a bit more dynamic, certainly could be a bit more attractive, at least, in parts of the game. Absolutely. Tottenham's Hotspur's draw West Ham on Wednesday arguably makes it 4 less than impressive performances in a row. Kuva, why hasn't it all clicked yet? Why are the performance maybe not there? Is there something that you could point to that maybe is missing right now?
It's for me, it starts at the back. We're trying to play out from the back, and when the likes of Romero's missing, the quality drops. Emerson, Sanchez, Dyer, Davis, none of them are particularly good at playing a passing game out from the back. Davis, I'd argue, is probably the best of the bunch. Of progressing the ball forward, and he's been doing quite well working with Perisic on the left. But it's generally it becomes disjointed. Instead of the fluid attacking moves happening, you get players stood on the ball, not quite sure what to do. Then it goes sideways, backwards. There's no sort of connection between some of the defenders and the attackers. It's not all down to the midfield. It's a team game. It's a collective sort of thing. I think it's a lot of lack of belief in some players that they can actually do this passing move and play out from the back comfortably. I think that is down to quality, unfortunately. It will come, but it would look. I think it would look so much better if we'd added a few signing to it. But I'm getting back to the transfer market. Don't want to do that. With what we've got, we're just going to have to wait and see. They're going to have to improve. They're going to have to up their game. Find a way to make it work.
Perhaps this rotation, today could find some of those things that maybe we've been missing. Philip, same question to you. Why hasn't it all clicked yet? Maybe why are their performances maybe not fully there?
I think some of the thing we have to give credit to the opposition managers because they've spotted, they've studied where our weaknesses are, and I think what West Ham did, West Ham pressed us very heavily down the right hand side. The Sanchez, Dyer end of it there, and Emerson. Knowing well that they're not comfortable playing the ball out for the back. So they put the press on, which meant the ball went backwards or sideways. Now, today could be different if Romero and Longley play because they are a different animal altogether. They can actually, they know how to play out from the back. So I think some credit's got to be given to the opposition manager because if you can stifle Spurs' attacks at source, then it negates the potency of our forward line, who have to frustratingly wait for the ball to come, which a lot of the time doesn't come to them. It's intercepted before it reaches the attacking end of the pitch for us. So hopefully that's going to change today. And okay, it's not all the opposition manager's credit. It's the lack of ball players that we have at the back in the last few matches. Players are not used to playing that system. Dyer, Romero, Dyer. I keep calling Romero, Emerson, and Sanchez. Who you wouldn't put them in your ball playing team of the year by any chance, No,
and definitely
any season, So I think it's up to Conte to come up with a plan to negate the opposition plan to stop us. I think that's probably the best way of putting it, And I think we might see a different animal today in Tottenham if those two boys play from the back, hopefully. Because as I said, another lackluster defensive performance tonight. Playing the ball out will lead to frustration in the crowd, and that amplifies and transmits to the players, and that's not good.
Yeah. And Philip, I know you answered this earlier, but kind of like what I did with Kuva, I'm going to give you another question off the back of it. Spurs have taken 34 points from a possible 39 in their last 13 meetings against Fulham, including 11 wins, but both times they have dropped points have come in those home games actually against Fulham. What sort of game are you expecting today? Well, it might not be as easy as you think.
Oh no, I'm not. I don't think there's any easy games. There is no easy games in the Premiership. Okay, the jokers amongst us might say, "Well, we haven't played Bournemouth yet," but the Fulham are a promoted team. They'll be coming with a lot of ambition today. They're bringing a huge fan base down to the ground as well, as many as they can fit in. and they will be expecting to do something. They'll know their record against Spurs away is quite good. Their home record against us is pretty abysmal. We seem to win all the time. But they will be coming with a lot of hope. Their performances against Liverpool and other teams they've played so far this season would lead me to believe they're playing above their, not above their station, but they're probably playing better than their fans could have hoped they would on their return to the Premiership. So it's going to be very difficult. But listen, we're at home. We're the better team. They're just a promoted team. We should be putting those teams to bed in the first 20 minutes or half an hour and able to make substitutions after that to relax from Marseille. It probably won't go that way, but we can only but hope.
Kuva, do you see a scrappy game in this one, or could it be free-flowing between the two teams, counterattacking each other? Could this be a scrappy one? Maybe even.
It's so hard to call it. We'll know after sort of 10 minutes or so, won't we? Depends on what,
especially right now when it's 6:30 a.m. I don't even know if I can see straight. Predicting this game.
Fair enough. Even worse for you. Yeah, we don't even know which team we're going to put out to start with, do we? We're only assuming the likes of Romero is going to be back. Maybe he's not quite match fit yet. That could be a possibility as well. You'd think he's going to go straight into the team, though. I mean, Conte knows his worth, that's for sure. Fulham have been playing really, really well. I'm impressed with them, which I'm kind of pleased with because I tipped them for being dark horses for top half finish this season. Possibly getting on the fringe of European places, but that was going to be a way out there shout. But they're kind of living up to it at the moment. Yeah. However, as Philip said, they have just come up. We should be putting these sort of teams to bed. It's going to be more difficult than we think it will. Not only was the Liverpool result impressive, they dispatched Brighton as well, and Brighton are flying at the moment, playing really good stuff. So that Fulham are by no means a pushover. Mitrovic is on form. That was always going to be the key to them doing well this season. Could he adapt to the Premiership this time? Looks like he's doing well so far. Despite your brilliant analogy of him earlier, Jack, saying Mitrovic, he's a world-class donkey.
He's secretly the best player in the world, actually. I think he's secretly the best donkey in the world. He's just simply brilliant.
So it's too hard to tell. I think the fact that it's a derby quite often makes the football deteriorate at times because it becomes a bit of a scrap, a bit of a tribal thing. Yeah. We've got to hope that the quality players coming back into the team for us, like Romero, hopefully Longley as well, in my opinion, makes the difference. So we can put our foot on the ball a bit more. Get Bentancur doing what he does best, foot on the ball, setting the tempo of the game, getting the passing game guy, because that's been severely lacking in recent games. And he's been struggling with us having so little possession. He needs us to have more of the ball so he can get on the ball more.
Yeah. Definitely. Under Antonio Conte, Spurs have often struggled when the fixtures begin to stack up. When Tottenham have been given 4 days or fewer to prepare, they have averaged 1.4 points compared to 2.4 when Conte and his staff are afforded a full game week. Is that a reflection on Conte, or is that a reflection on our squad depth and quality? I must say, an excellent question made by Dave there. Philip, to you, when Conte has less than 4 days to prepare or fewer than 4 days to prepare, he seems to have a significant drop-off in points gained. So is that something that worries you when it comes to Conte's tactics, or is that more of a reflection of maybe the squad and its quality?
Well, I'm taking that those statistics are worked out on last season's matches. Right. So this season we've got new players into the squad. Like Perisic and Richarlison, who we didn't have last year. So maybe that will negate that. Time will tell. We're now going into the 3 matches in a week scenario from today. So we'll be able to tell if that statistic is it's right for last season. Hopefully it won't be nearly as depressing like this season. It won't, because we have got despite the less than satisfactory transfer window in a lot of people's eyes that we didn't get a centre back in or a camp. I think our squad has improved and should be able to cope with that situation better and increase the ratio of points over the next few games. But we'll see. Yeah. The fact that we can rotate the squad a bit better now, and we're not having kids on the bench as much as we had last season, should be a big improvement. But time will tell.
Absolutely. I must say, actually, I forgot that even the West Ham game was another game that we actually didn't pick up points from before. So I think, apart from the Southampton, or I think almost every single game apart from the Forest game, if I'm not mistaken, are all games that we didn't pick up enough points in before. And, this time around this season, we actually have, which is quite interesting. But Kuva, same question to you. Are you worried that this could happen again this season, where Conte might see a big drop off in points gained per week when he has less than 4 days to prepare?
Yeah, it's got to be a danger, hasn't it? Conte's very much a sort of tactics and discipline manager.
Mm-hmm.
So the more time he has with the players, the better. Lot of managers want the same thing. They want to get down to being on the training pitch with the players, preparing them for a game. So it is a big factor that it's going to hamper us. And the easiest way to counter that is just by having depth and quality in that depth. We've improved the overall quality a little bit. Depth, arguable, perhaps better than last season. It's not perhaps as much as we hope, but it could be telling. As soon as we get a few injuries in key positions, well, we've seen it already. What happens when Romero's out of the team? The quality drops. I think the Champions League is kind to us in some ways because we don't have to travel those extreme distances on the away trips. At least we're not going, it's halfway to the moon to play somebody we've never heard of. Good luck, Arsenal, by the way. And I think it's going to be a sense of playing quality opposition all the time throughout the season. That's in a way that's a bonus because you don't have these little lulls. You don't have this little time where you're playing a minnow in the Champions League. That doesn't happen. So you're going to be putting out a strong team all the time. Try and keep this progression going. Try and get the form going and a sense of continuity. So the rotation becomes just that rather than playing your reserves, if you like.
Yeah, definitely. This is kind of an interesting question, Kuva. I'm going to come back to actually here. We have to experiment, I think, today, considering that, we have a lot of games coming up and there is going to be needed rotation. Richarlison is obviously going to be the one that is going to come in to be rotated. But is there a particular player, Kuva, that you would like to see kind of rotated in, perhaps Doherty or Longley or someone like that, to come into the team this week?
Well, both
to
of
see
those
something different, to see both, maybe to see something different.
Yeah, and anything that replaces as many as we can in the back line. I think Doherty, just because we look a bit better attacking on the flank, he links up well with Kulusevski, or he has done in a few games last season. I'm not convinced on Emerson. I think I've sort of hit that a little bit, but it's the disappointment seeing our attacking play, isn't it? That's really getting us a bit annoyed at times. So we'll take the points, of course, but it's getting the balance right is going to prove difficult because we seem to have Emerson who seems to do okay-ish defending. Doherty seems to do okay-ish attacking. Neither of them can do both roles. It's a bit irritating. I'm not sure how to play it on there. Doherty's been out for a long time as well, injured, and then recurrence of injury at pre-season, wasn't it?
Would it be concerning if Emerson were played again? Because I feel like you do just want it. As much as I am, Emerson's biggest defender, I feel like I would like to see something different just for this weekend. I think it would be kind of crazy to play him again because I imagine we will play him against Man City and maybe Marseille. I'm not sure, but it just seems silly probably to play him for this one. I do want to see something different out there.
I think he's athletic and fit enough to be able to do it, to be honest. It's still early season. He proved that
considering our attacking woes right now on that right-hand flank, and whatnot, it'd be nice to see Jed Spencer, Doherty do something.
Yeah, it would. But you have to listen to what Conte says in the press conferences about the likes of Jed Spence. He's clearly thinks he's not ready yet. He is very much one for the future. Do you throw him in a game like this? Possibly you do. That might be the sort of game he might, because I can't imagine he's going to do that in the Champions League or against Manchester City. So perhaps we might see a half and half. If we're doing well, perhaps Emerson starts. If we're doing well, perhaps Spence comes on for a half. Then give him a bit of a rest. That's a possibility.
Love that. Same question to you, Philip. Obviously Richarlison being the main rotation coming in today is what is expected. But any particular players you would like to see rotated in today?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing Oliver Skip brought back in.
Uh-huh.
You know, whether he will or not, I don't know. I might see him at some stage during the game. Yeah, I think Emerson should be rested today. And I mean, my heart tells me I'd love to see Jed Spence playing. You know, I
Yeah,
really
me
would
too.
love to see that let loose in a game like Fulham because, okay, as Kuva says, he's not going to play against Marseille. He's not going to play against Man City. But this mightn't be a bad game to blood him, get him out there, get a feel for the Premiership, and you know, let him have a go. And if it doesn't work out, bring Doherty on. So we have options there. Longley, I would like to see in for Davis. Richarlison in for Son. And then I don't know if I don't know if Højbjerg's going to be fit or not. There seems to be some doubt whether he'll be fit after maybe he should be rested anyway because that guy's played so many matches for us. He
I think
deserves
that's what it is, that we just want to rest him this one.
Just rest him, give him a day off. Okay, we've got Basuma and Bentancur in there. So I would say 4 changes today.
Yeah,
because Conte did say there would be rotation. And like we have to start using the squad now because we play the same players game after game. We looked actually leggy against West Ham. And for a team that's supposed to be ultra fit, they look fitter than us in the last 20 minutes. So, you know, that's a bit of a worry. So time to get the rest of legs for the game today. Bigger. Like I know all matches are big, but there are bigger matches ahead than Fulham. So today is a good day to maybe just chop it and change it a wee bit. Plus, get a chance to see how these players can do. It's all right saying, yeah, keep them sitting on the bench. Let's see what they can actually do in a war situation when thrown in the deep end. And they're the sink or swim, and hopefully they swim.
Especially maybe not having Højbjerg there could be, I think, a good test for them because as much as a lot of people don't want to see Højbjerg in the team, we haven't fared well ever when he's been out of the team. It'll be interesting to see how they go about it. We do have that quality now in the likes of Basuma, Bentancur, Skip, that they should be able to handle it themselves. Like you said, Philip, they're professional players and they are actually quality players as well. So they should be able to cope without their leader in the midfield. And we
you know,
should be able to hope,
There's one other change that possibly, this would be a bit of a shock if he didn't make it, but to rest Hugo Lloris for a match.
Interesting.
I mean, Hugo, we love Hugo for his shot stopping and his, able to command his area. But since he came to the club, every time he gets the ball at his feet, I close my eyes because that is his one weak point. He cannot play. He cannot distribute the ball. He cannot kick accurately. And from that point of view, Fraser Foster is a decent goalkeeper. And let's put it this: if that was Galini, I'd never be suggesting we rested Lloris to play Galini. But I think Fraser Foster maybe should be given a run out in a game like this today, just to give Hugo a break.
If I feel like I agree with you, Philip, that it is, considering his some sort of testimonial, I believe, has been put out for him for not his 10 years of service, but for what was it for again? How many games he's played for us? Is it for 10 years?
10 years, yeah, 10 years.
It is for 10 years, so it is his actual testimonial, and of course, the way that he went about it in West Ham wasn't really a good way to celebrate it. So they might, play him in this home match, in front of the Spurs crowd, and hopefully he can pick up a clean sheet. But maybe Forster comes in for Marseille. That could be an interesting, way to
maybe. We'll see. We'll see.
I feel like the rotations for me would be Skip or Bentancur comes in. I'm not sure if you would count Bentancur coming in because he probably would get into that team once he is healthy. But Skip maybe coming in. Basuma, I'd like to see him keep his place. I would like to see someone else other than Emerson, despite Emerson maybe being sort of the first choice at the moment. I think we should go for something different. Romero will step in, I imagine. Hopefully Longley steps in too. I'd be kind of disappointed if they continued again without the likes of Dyer, Davies. I feel like they should maybe consider Dyer, Longley, and then Romero. Perhaps Sessegnon. I kind of agreed with that shout earlier from Kuva instead of Perisic. I think Sessegnon coming up against the former side Fulham anyways could be a good test for him, and he has done well, I think, in these sort of fixtures. And then Richarlison, Kane up top, who knows, maybe in a 3-5-2. Plenty of changes available, and I hope we do see some significant changes. Sammy Pilgrim saying, ain't it like 6 a.m. there, Jack? Top effort, lad. Appreciate you, Sammy. But I think it was a 6 a.m. start. Now it's a cheeky 7 a.m., my man. We're flying high here. Big up, Sammy. Appreciate you, brother. We're going to keep moving on, though, and we're going to get on to a few more questions. Everybody, do get your comments into the chat, and I will continue to put them up on screen. And if you do want your question answered right away, feel free to throw it in as a super chat. With Sanchez proving a liability defensively and in possession, Romero is back in after recovering from his abductor issue. Would you risk Romero today, Philip, or hold him back for the Champions League game against Marseille?
No, get him in today. I mean, I got the feeling he was fit for West Ham and maybe wasn't, or nearly fit and wasn't used. So no, get him back in. Get him back in. If he's fit enough to play, he's had 3 matches of a rest now. So he's fit. He should be fresh. Get him straight in. We need him.
Yeah. Same for you, Kuva.
Yeah, I mean, end of the day, if he's fit, he's got to start. He's already had a rest, hasn't he? And being out injured, so no problem. It'll be good. It'll be good to go for all 3 games this week.
Considering, he would have been rushed going into that West Ham game. Doesn't feel like you're rushing him in now, maybe, to be fair. The other spot for rotation is probably wingback. I do expect to see Ryan Sessegnon come in for Perisic, who would be rested for Marseille, and who should come in for Emerson at right wingback, Doherty or Jed Spence. I know we brought this up earlier, lads, but if you were to pick maybe a player that you would like to see come in, would you pick maybe Matt Doherty, or maybe even which one do you see Conte going for? Because if Conte is going to go for one, which one would he pick? I think it might be Matt Doherty, lads. Kuva?
Yeah, at least he knows about Matt Doherty so far, so I think he'll be the logical one to come in. However, you don't know what Spence is doing in training. He might be. He might. I think he's impressing Conte, but I think Conte's just thinking he's not ready yet. We'll just see how he comes along.
He's almost treating him like a little brother right now, like Conte, kind of just every stride he makes puts him down, a little bit. It seems like, humbles him.
I think it was quite nice to see him come on for a few minutes against Forest as a sort of a show of appreciation for him joining us and giving a little bit of time in front of his old fans. But I think Conte's very much a pragmatist. He will do what he knows works and then bide his time with the rest. Even the likes of Longley, if he feels he's not quite integrated in the team properly yet, or perhaps that little injury he had pre-season is still a little bit niggling, he'll bide his time with it. No rush on a lot of things. No need to panic on anything yet this early in the season. We just want to start seeing the improvements happening. And this is an interesting week to see how we deal with the rotation.
Yeah. I could see this being a good game for Matt Doherty if he were to get back into the favors of Conte. A lot of people do think that he is still kind of secretly Conte's favorite. Maybe Conte is sort of saving him for a game like this to start off the ground running. And he has done well in these sort of games. I think that big spell of form of those 6 games started in kind of a game like this, versus a newly promoted team at home. And I think this is sort of a game, if Matt Doherty were to play, I think he should put in a good performance if he were to maybe outplace Emerson in this one. But the only starting change to the starting 11 was West Ham, in West Ham was Yves Bissouma, who did not have the best of games, in my opinion. Do you think he will retain his place with Ben Tekers back and Skip looking lively in training? Do you see Bissouma starting yet again, Philip?
I would like to see him. Yeah, I mean, I've got the feeling that Skip may start ahead of him today. But yeah, I would like to see him. I mean, we haven't seen the best of Bissouma yet by a long way. We haven't seen the player that bossed our midfield completely in the Brighton game last season at the Spurs Stadium. So yeah, it's like every player. It takes some players longer to bed in than others to get used to the new surroundings. And they've been used to one particular team style for years, and now suddenly they're thrust into another completely different atmosphere. So yeah, I'd like to see Bissouma start. And I mean, once we start seeing the best of Bissouma, I think he'll be a fixture in the midfield. So maybe that starts today. I mean, I think we could be either very, very surprised by Conte's team selection today, or very worried by the fact that if he doesn't start changing it, I'm hoping he will make enough changes today to keep some of the players fresh from Marseille. Because what we don't want to do is get a loss in our first Champions League game at home. We've got to go strong in that match.
Absolutely. It would be kind of disappointing to see him drop for this one. I feel like he should be given another start because that was a massive game. A London derby away from home against the bubble blowers. He probably had some soap in his eyes, all the bubbles blown in his face. So I feel like you should give him another chance here, especially in front of the home crowd. Maybe also another game where I do anticipate we'll have a lot of the ball as well. So I feel like Bissouma should be given the start. But Kuva, same thing to you. Would you like to see Bissouma play again, or do you think he might be replaced with the likes of Ben Tekers or Skipper or someone?
Oh, he's got to start, I think. Højbjerg
It's a shame if he wasn't. No.
Yeah, Højbjerg is certainly out, isn't he? So
I hope he is.
He's got to stay in there. So without doubt, for me, it's the midfield that a lot of us were calling for in the first place, which was him and Bentancur together. So I think we've got to give Basuma a bit of time. He's probably a bit shell shocked on in some ways the way it was going in that game against West Ham. Probably a bit tired out from that really long walk to the pitch as well. But that's another thing. He'll come good. He'll come good. He proved he can hack it in the Premiership, and he certainly destroyed us last season a couple of times.
Yeah.
So no concerns there. We bought him for a reason. Let's play him. I don't see a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to see him play again because I do think it'd be probably a bit of crushing to his confidence, but also just a bit unfair because I thought he actually played quite well in the first half, and then he completely capitulated in the second. Don't get me wrong. That yellow card was also very, very silly. Then again, I think there were good moments in there, and I think he did show what he could bring. He was very dynamic on the ball. He could turn really quickly as well as receive it on the half turn really efficiently. So we obviously were seeing, I think, moments of that class Basuma in there for sure. A lot of fans were surprised to see Son Heung-min start against West Ham. He had another poor showing, though. Is it inevitable that Richarlison comes in today to show what he can offer? And if he does play well, Philip, would you start him in that Champions League game as well?
Well, two things. I think Son always, up to this match last Wednesday, anyway, always does well against West Ham. He scored some crackers. So I think that's possibly one of the reasons he was kept in. Plus, trying to instill a bit of confidence into his play because he's been woefully lacking in confidence over the last few games. So I think that's why he started against West Ham. I don't think he starts today. I mean, enough's enough. He has to be given a rest today. But that being said, I do expect him to come back in for the Marseille game.
Interesting,
because he's a big game player, and I think he will be up for the West Ham of the Marseille game with 90 minutes on the bench today, or 60 minutes on the bench, whatever they give him. But I think he has to be rested today. It's only fair to the guy, because the more he tries and the less he succeeds, the worse his confidence situation will get.
If Richie scored a brace today, Philip, would you consider playing him in the Man City game or the Marseille game? Let's say he just had a fantastic game, 8 out of 10s, kind of sort of performance.
That's what Conte gets paid his ridiculously high salary for, to make decisions like that.
Love to put you on the spot there. Kuva, same question to you. Do you want to see Richie perform well today? And if he did perform well today, would you maybe consider starting him, again, perhaps in that Marseille game?
As Philip said, it's a complete cop-out saying it, but he's also quite right. That's why Conte gets paid all this amount of money, make the difficult decisions. I think Richarlison's done nothing wrong. He's well worth being picked for a game or two. But there is that big concern over how do you get the best out of Sonny now? Is dropping him really going to work? Because if it's a confidence issue, that's not going to help, is it?
Maybe not.
Yeah, it's difficult. What we need at the end of the day is just see him bang the first goal in. I think the cobwebs will disappear. Then we'll see the old player again. You could also argue what's happening with Perisic. It might be affecting Sonny's game because Perisic is very forward thinking, very attacking. Is he perhaps cramping him a little bit in that final third? Whereas Sonny looking like acres of space down that wing to exploit. Now Perisic is there a lot of the time. It could be a pro, it could be a con, depending on how you look at the individual performances. It's just something that's they'll find the way over the course of the season. Perisic and Sonny are both great players, so they will find a way. As for Richarlison, we've talked about it all since we signed him. He is there for rotation. If you don't rotate, what is the point? So, I think he's well worth coming on. I'd start him today, to be honest. Or if you're not going to start him, I'd maybe play Sonny for a half and then Richarlison for the other half, or something like that. Might even rest Kulusevski. It depends what Conte's seeing in training. If he thinks somebody's looking jaded, or perhaps carrying a little bit of a knock, being a little bit fragile, he's not going to take the risk because he's now got to manage all these games in such a short space of time. and it now does become the squad game we always talk about. It's not it's a test for sure. What do you do? And I think I'll take Philip's route and take the easy option. Say that's what Conte's.
Only I could pay you Conte's wages, Philip, to answer that question. But in the case of Richarlison for this one, lads, I feel like the fact that Sonny, is sort of not maybe in the best sort of form here. We also are without Bryan Hill and Lucas Moura, I think, as sort of depth options, at least on the bench. I might, again, I know I keep saying this, and Philip and Kuba have been here for the past pre-match buildups, but I'll again maybe shout 3-5-2 here. And this is maybe just for actual resting of players and just simple rotation, because it looks like that midfield is kind of back to being close to fully healthy, maybe apart from Højbjerg, you could say, but I think Højbjerg is probably kind of secretly available if need be. But we would like to see, I think, the likes of Basuma and Skip, be able to come in, get some game time. I think Bentancur is supposed to be available. I think instead of maybe going for a two-man midfield of Basuma, Bentancur, Skip, Bentancur, we could consider throwing all three in, at one stage. And then you can also rest Kulusevski at the same time, because I think Kulusevski has sort of played, for the most part, plenty of minutes as well. And I don't really think it'd be smart if we just continued to play him every single game as well. Maybe he could use a bit of a rest, a bit of rotation, but I'm not too sure about how, again, Conte feels about changing up, formation for a game like Fulham, especially at home. A 3-5-2 maybe might not be the most positive formation. He probably wants something a bit more attacking. Then again, I really like the looks of kind of Kane and Richarlison up top just by themselves. I think it'd actually be quite effective, quite spicy. But let me know, everybody, what you think in the comments of that. We're going to move on.
I think one of the things we keep overlooking, we keep overlooking as well. 5 substitutes. We can drastically change how the team plays during the course of the match.
Yeah, definitely. While Fulham have scored 8 goals so far this season, 5 out of 8 of those goals have come from the big itch, Mitrovic. One of those 8 was even an own goal for Brighton's defender, Lewis Dunk. So really, he's technically actually scored 5 out of 7 of their goals so far. Is Mitrovic the player that could cause Spurs the most problems? Is he the key man for you, Kuba?
Yeah, Fulham's success this season was always going to be about, can he finally adapt to the Premiership? And he seems to be doing that. He's finding a way. He may not appear to be, well, as you alluded to earlier, he's the world's greatest donkey, sort of. He's a superstar donkey. He can look so painfully out of sorts and
so painfully
out of place, and then he comes up, does something that's great, and it's a goal all of a sudden. So he's a definite threat. He's physical. He's a nuisance sort of player, and that's just what we seem to struggle with at times. It's when players with opposition does load the box, does put the pressure on. He's the sort of one that does get the finishing touch on those sort of things. We've got to hope he's having one of his standard days from when they came up last time, and he'll blaze any chance over the bar or miles wide. But so far this season, he's the man for them, no doubt about it. And the way Fulham are playing, it's a danger, definitely.
Absolutely. And Philip, he will fancy his chances of adding to his goal tally today. How do we stop someone like Mitrovic, whose attributes are defense's weaknesses? He has that strength, that aerial ability, all things that I think we sort of lack in that back three. How do we stop him?
Play Romero, basically. I'd be very worried if our back three was Sanchez, Dyer, and Davis against Mitrovic. Mitrovic, his last session in the Premiership, he couldn't hit the Ballon d'Or from 2 feet, and I think that was the big worry for Fulham fans. Was he going to do the same again this time? He's proved the complete opposite now. He's probably one of the top strikers in the Premiership at this moment in time. But that being said, if you get a decent player playing up against him who can dominate him and keep him quiet, that has happened numerous times during his career where he hasn't performed. So I'm hopeful today is one of those games, but it's as Kuba said, he's an absolute danger, and we need to keep a very close eye on him, and also try and cut off the supply to him, because the guy is good in the air, very good in the air. So we need to stop the sources coming in, and I think we should be able to do that as long as Romero plays. If he doesn't play, then I will be, every time the Fulham get the ball out wide, I'll be dodging down behind the couch.
Definitely. He loves to climb on top of people at that back post as well. And he does have decent hold-up play. He will be playing mostly through the middle. Kind of a follow-up question here, Philip. If he's playing mostly through the middle, can you really put Romero on him when the likes of Dyer, I guess, is more responsible for that space? Or can they maybe
Yeah.
find some system where maybe Romero is the one that does keep track of
Well,
him?
unless Conte goes man marking him,
Yeah.
then
Dyer's going
you
to
could,
have to step in. Yeah.
yeah. I don't know. It'd be interesting one to see how that one works because, as I said, I mean, I'd worry about Dyer versus Mitrovic now.
Yeah.
I mean, I know, and I see Eric Dyer now is on the verge of being recalled to the England squad, which will come as a bit of a surprise to a lot of Spurs fans who don't really rate him, So, then again, Dyer's a big lad too; he can handle himself. So, a bit of rough and tumble there might just work out as long as he's got a bit of support from the other centre backs. I don't know who else Fulham play up front. I'm not really that into the Fulham team. But we don't want to put all our energies into Martin Mitrovic and then have some other guy coming through on the inside and nobody even notices he's there,
True, absolutely true. And to you, Kuba, kind of the same question. I looked at that world-class Donkeys heat map, and most of it, as true donkey form, is in the middle of the pitch. So he doesn't really go many place else. Maybe apart from being in the box, he likes to roam around. But will that mean that Dyer will have to be more responsible for him, even though we would like it to be Romero?
Yeah, it's going to have to be Dyer. Romero is not good in the air for a start. You could argue Dyer isn't either, to be honest. He loses a lot of headers he shouldn't. He's going to have to be on his A game. No free ride today. I think it's also going to depend a lot, as we're alluding to, cutting the supply out. If you don't just let their fullbacks or the wing backs have like a free reign and sling in loads of crosses all game, we'll be asking for trouble like that. So it's careful management. Do we go man to man? Probably not. If we are, it's got to be Dyer. I think that's the only real option. Davis is not good enough in the air. Romero certainly isn't. You could set about Romero to man marking, but it'll be a different sort of marking altogether. It'll be Mitrovic is lying on the ground, not able to get to the header. But I'm not entirely against that. But there's a few options available. I think at the end of the day, we're at home. It should be more about us taking the game to them rather than worrying about this too much. If we're having to worry about the constant pressure that Mitrovic is putting on our defense, we're playing poorly.
Yeah, I agree. They did have a few new signings, though, in the case of Joao Palhinha as well, who's their kind of sort of new ball-winning midfielder. Harrison Reed is kind of a bit of a usual there. They have put in a few new signings up Fulham, but Marco Silva this time around seems to be a bit different than Scotty Parker's Fulham. I felt like Scotty Parker's Fulham, Philip, was a bit more kind of long ball. They like to kind of hit it up to the strikers, maybe get a bit lucky, where Marco Silva's Fulham is a bit more attacking than maybe Fulham's of seasons past. In fact, I think they've scored close to 2 goals at least every single game, apart from one fixture against Wolves. So is this going to be a more attacking Fulham than maybe what we're used to?
Possibly. But I think that my abiding memory of Fulham this season, what I've seen of them was the intense press that they put on the Liverpool forwards in the first match of the season. Those Liverpool guys did not get a split second on the ball before there was a Fulham guy on them. And if they do that today, it could unsettle our boys a bit. Okay, they're playing at home away. They may not do it as much, but I felt that they seemed to be a very fit team, a very together team as well. Very hardworking. They run around. Like I think the running stats are quite impressive. So if they put the press, my worry is we don't play well against teams that press us, and if they do that press today, it could be difficult. So
they have actually a much higher line than even most kind of newly promoted teams as well. In fact, I think Fulham's average line is higher than ours.
Well, if they play a high line, then that could play into our hands.
Definitely could, but it shows that they're pressing. It shows that they're pressing as well.
But they're pressing, but we need to break the press, and that's where we have had problems in the past. So it'll be very, very interesting to see do Fulham come and sit back and let us come at them, or do they throw caution to the wind and actually come at us? It's interesting to see how this one goes.
What situation do we do better then? Because we used to say, Philip, that we always struggled breaking down teams, and maybe you could say that maybe when a team does press us, it makes it a bit easier on us because then we can, play balls over the top and whatnot.
Well, I don't like seeing teams coming to Spurs and going on the attack and putting us on the defensive. We should be doing the opposite. We should be going after them. And as I said earlier, it will frustrate the crowd if Fulham have a lot of possession. Remember the Wolves game in the first half? There was rumblings at half time before we changed it in the second half. So, I don't want to see Fulham coming out and trying to dominate us, because Conte will say, okay, listen, we'll get them on the break. That's fair enough, getting them on the break, but it's not giving the crowd much comfort.
Yeah, definitely. Kuva, same question to you about Marco Silva's Fulham. Is it a very different Fulham than Scotty Parker's, which I thought was a bit more defensive, bit deeper block, sort of team? This Marco Silva side, they're a bit more attacking.
Yeah, there's lots more bravery and invention in this side, I think. They did add a bit of steel with some of the transfers. I've forgotten the name of him now, the lad you mentioned now.
Paulinho.
That's the one. Yeah, he's going to make a difference to him because it allows other players to express themselves a bit more when you've got that anchor man role.
Uh-huh.
Fulham are working so hard for each other. There's a real team spirit going there. It is a danger. I think we might be put on the back foot, unfortunately. If that happens, home crowd, as Philip said, people start getting agitated. You don't want to see that at home, do you? You want to be doing all the attacking. If somebody beats you, it has to be from them playing brilliantly, defending all their goalkeeper out of having a blinder, not because they're dominating you and getting all the ball in your area of the pitch. It's going to be a difficult game. I think the likes of Bissouma needs to step up. He is the press resistant sort of midfielder that we wanted. Romero is press resistant as well. He just shrugs people off. Bit of skill he's passed them, doesn't worry about it. What an upgrade on Sanchez that is. Because Sanchez looks like he's scared to make a mistake. Romero looks like doesn't care about anything. He'll just go and do what he wants. He's just that good. Hopefully with Longley coming in, hopefully he comes in. We'll see the same. It's a bit harsh on Ben Davis actually, because while Romero's been out, Ben Davis I think has been the best of our defenders.
True. He's the only one with real competition with Longley.
He's progressive with the ball as well. He gets up to support Perisic on the wing as well. You see him actually going out of the sort of central defensive role and playing as more of a left midfield at times. Yeah. It's good. He's well aware of what his role is. I think it's not just defending. Whereas the likes of Sanchez, Emerson, they don't look like they're comfortable at all the moment they get the ball. I think Fulham, as we're saying, we think Fulham will press us, and they're going to exploit that sort of weakness if it's still there. Got to have Romero back. That makes a big difference straight away.
Absolutely. I think it's so huge in so many ways, not only defensively, but in possession, which is where we've been worst. And that's where I think most of our problems have come from, have been in possession. And Romero is our best ball playing defender, as well as simply our best defender in general. He's simply just the best defender in the whole team. And we need him, I think, in just any game, to be honest, because if we don't have him and it's just continuing with, I think, Sanchez, Dyer, Davies, as much as I agree with you, Davies being probably the more progressive of those three, it's still been a bit lackluster. And so I think we need somebody that's just willing to even take risks. That's what I like about Romero, is that he's even willing to take risks with certain passes. Perhaps it could lead to a counterattack. Perhaps it does give the other team a chance, but at the same time, it gives us a chance, where it does feel like Dyer, Sanchez, they're just too afraid to maybe take a risky pass that could lead, to a counterattack for the other team. But they don't also realize that it could lead to a good moment for us as well. Like, they have to break the lines if they are going to be a player that's going to be afforded that much time on the ball. And I think what I like about Romero is that when he is afforded that much time on the ball, he tries to break the lines. He doesn't, waste that moment in possession. He tries to make something happen with it, which is exactly, I think, what we're looking for. The start to the year, lads, for our front line has not been that bad, considered we are tied for 4th in goals scored and 6th in XG. But everyone knows that this front three, plus Richarlison, is capable of a whole lot more and can be a whole lot stronger and can have more consistent output than what has been shown so far. When do you think Tottenham's attack will wake up, Philip?
Anytime now, I think. Really, it's we've scored 9 goals, I think, which is, as you said, you give the stats, so this is pretty good. I think our attack, like last season, okay, the early part of it under Nuno, we'll forget about that. But you remember in the second half of the season, we were going away. We scored 4 away against Villa. We scored 4 away against Leeds. We put 5 past Newcastle, put 5 past Norwich. And that's just a few I'm thinking of. That's the attack that we had last season. It was basically Son, Kulusevski, and Kane. Now we've added Richarlison to that mix. We should be scoring freely. We really should be scoring freely. But again, it's where the supply comes from. This is probably why we wanted an attacking midfielder in there, which we didn't get. It's who is the more creative of the midfielders that we have, given that they're all relatively defensively minded? Is it Betancourt? Is it Basuma that we haven't seen much of yet?
Mm-hmm.
So like I do expect us to get back scoring. Like, okay, 5 against Southampton or 4 against Southampton wasn't bad to start with. Okay, it's dried up a little bit since then. We've 2 against Chelsea, 1 against West Ham, 1 against Wolves, 2 against Forest. It's certainly not too bad, but we can get better. We will get better as the season goes on. I keep saying, I've said this since the season started. Some team is going to get an absolute tanking from this Spurs team whenever we get the jigsaw right. And hopefully that's today. I'm not saying it will be today. Hopefully it is today. Imagine the confidence it will give us going into Marseille and Man City with a resounding win against a London rival today in a London derby.
Absolutely. I have a feeling it might be Fat Frank.
The mood of the crowd as well,
I have a feeling it might be Everton, that will get that big pounding from us and perhaps might be the end of Fat Frank over there. But that's just me. I feel like that's sort of a team that I could see us absolutely rolling over. But Kuva, when will this attack wake up, and how can Conte maybe even wake it up sooner?
If we knew that, he'd be doing that, really.
He's probably working on it right now.
Yeah, it's for me, it all does stem from the back. We are not building the attacks accurately or quickly enough.
Yeah.
It gives the opposition time to get into position. We're having to rely on the brilliance of our forwards to get the goals at the moment. And they're struggling at times, which is not surprising, because if the rest of the team, if we're not a fluid sort of transition from defense to attack, it's a lot easier to start closing players down. I think for me, it's just that lack of quality. It's building from the back is so bad. The attack's almost over before we reach the halfway line most of the time. So we're having to play counter-attacking game because we can't play another way. How do you fix it? New players in.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is kind of the whole theme today with rotation, is that while Spurs have been getting results, it's been a bit, you could say, boring at times, or it's just been not, we know we're capable of better. I think this rotation could show some of the players that are coming in, while maybe at the moment not starters or, players that are first names on the team sheet. This is an opportunity for them to show either the fans or Conte that they bring something different, and that they could perhaps be that sort of relief, for some of the issues that Spurs been having, whether it be the center backs, maybe Longley comes in. We see how much, he can bring to the team. Perhaps the moment Romero comes in, we're already reminded, how much better we are with him. Who knows? Matt Doherty, yet again has a resurgence and has, a good spell of form or a good game here. I think there are plenty of players that come into this game and could perhaps make a good claim for starting against Marseille, or even, who knows, in the Man City game. That's what I'm actually excited about with this game of rotation, is there are a lot of moments for players to, make kind of a big statement to Conte, as well as the fans, of course, it being at home too. But last question of the evening, guys. Spurs have had a lot of possession in both halves against West Ham. Fulham, both halves against West Ham and Fulham have only had more than 40% possession twice this season. Will Spurs struggle or play better having more of the ball? Kuva, how do you feel like Spurs play this season? Will we be better, having more of the ball this game, or will we struggle with that?
I think if we got Bentancur and Romero in the side again, we want to have more of the ball. They are better with the ball at their feet. If we haven't got those two, we're probably better off just defending and doing what we have been doing, try and scrape something out of the game. At this point, we're getting to the stage where it's just about the points now. We're not confident on how we're going to play, so we'll take the sort of scrappy 2-1 win and just take the game through to the Marseille game, because I think Marseille, for me, that's going to be the point where, you know, the real driving, attacking sort of play starts, because it's just going to be so important to win those home Champions League games. And if we can't perform, then we're sunk going towards City. I mean, at the moment, despite our record against City, I'd still say it's kind of like a bonus result to have. If we get points at City, we can't expect to win, particularly the way Haaland started. I think we've just got to improve what we're doing. It will click eventually. I'm sure of it. Things will improve. Could take a bit of time. Hopefully, it's this week. Hopefully, this is the catalyst. If we do find form, the likes of Sonny finds form, Richarlison comes in, maybe bangs a couple of goals. Yeah. Perhaps we use Fulham as that sort of stepping stone to move forward. Take the momentum into midweek. Take that midweek momentum, hopefully, to City. Then we'll really know how we're going to be shaping up this season. I think this week's actually turned out to be quite a big one, just because of that Champions League and City on the horizon. It makes this Fulham result all the more important, and it's when we're forced into rotation as well. So if it goes well, brilliant. If it doesn't go well, we're going to be umming and ahhing a little bit, and it won't be pretty.
Yeah, definitely might not be pretty, but this is a big game for us to get a smash and result so we can carry on some momentum here. But Philip, same question to you. We might have a bit more of the ball this game, kind of like, we did against West Ham. Could that be a benefit to us, or do you see us maybe being worse with having more of the ball?
Well, having the ball is one thing. Doing something with it is another.
That's our problem.
So we need to do more when we have the ball. We need to be more creative. We need to have a better end result. And hopefully that will come. I've got a slight worry about today now. It's not because it's just we're playing Fulham, but some of the players might have their eye on Wednesday night, which is a huge game for us, a first game back in the Champions League in 3 years. So I'm hoping that the players play today's game as if it's the last one of the season and not be worrying about an injury that'll keep them out of the Marseille game. I want 100% today, as you have to give in the London derby. There's no room for slackers in the London derby. You'll be exposed. And okay, probably the only other team, the best team we could have played today is probably Bournemouth. Because of their history and what they've been doing over the last few games. But a London derby is going to be intense. It's going to be 100 miles an hour from start to finish. And let's hope that our players have the application they need, and they're not thinking of the next match. You can only play one match at a time, and they've got to be 100% to beat this Fulham team today.
Absolutely. Love that, Philip. And Philip, we actually reached the end of the questions here. So can I get your score predictions, any final thoughts of the game, and also maybe some thought, also as well, a plug for THFC Till I Die, please.
I'm going to go, I'm going to go tight. I'm going to go 2-1 to Spurs. I don't think we're going to go run away with this game. I'd love to see us run away with it. I don't think we will. It'll be 2-1 to Spurs, and it'll be a game that will see Richarlison get off the mark. I think he'll score. At least, maybe Harry Kane get the other one. And I think when you go to Fulham, it's got to be Mitrovic to score for them, but hopefully not. Tight game, London derby. Fans need to get behind the team, even though if we're nil each at halftime, no rumblings from the crowd as the team's going off. Let's have I keep referring back to, let's have the Arsenal atmosphere. Let's scare, we scared Arsenal that game at the end of May. We're in May, so do the same to the Fulham team today. Get the fans behind the team, and we should win. We are at home. We're a Champions League team. They're a promoted team. There was a big gap in class if you put it down on paper, but the match was never won on paper. So that's it. And as for THFC Till I Die, I'm doing a watch along with Dermot, and I think Ellie's gone to the match. She's going to be doing roving reports from the match today.
Love that.
And, but I think I'm coming on with you at halftime to do the halftime summaries as well. So
please
double jobbing today.
Yeah, you're going to be all over the grounds, Philip. You're going to have 2 earpieces for this one. Also, as well with Ellie, heard her around the ground.
That should be good. Yeah, that should be good.
Should be good. Kuva, score predictions, final thoughts on the game, and then what channel are we plugging today?
I've got a weird feeling about winning 3-2 today. Error-strewn sort of game, but a lot of things to get excited about. Some moments of controversy and VAR coming into it, a penalty or two, perhaps a sending off. I've just got this feeling about it. It's something exciting happening today. Even if the football's not premium quality, there's going to be a spectacle. It'll be something to watch. Yeah, I think I've got a feeling about Richarlison scoring today as well.
Yeah, me too.
I really like the bloke. I think he's going to do well for us over the course of time. As for channels, I will be on Three Spurs Boys tomorrow night with Bobby Kay at 10:30. Just doing a sort of roundup of the week as we do. Just a very casual sort of fun look back at what's been happening. Nothing too serious, no tactics or anything like that. Just having poking fun at a few players, poking fun at a few teams, and hopefully looking back at a good Spurs result. And it is about the result today. As much as we're saying we want the football, I think with this week ahead, just get the points. Just get the points. We'll have the party atmosphere on the Champions League, I think.
Love that. Absolutely. Pick up Kuva. Pick up Philip as well. Thank you for joining us. Everybody, seeing a lot of score predictions in here. 3-0, 3-1 Spurs, 1-1. Nah, that's not going to be exciting. 2-0, that's what I'd like to see. 3-1 to us. Absolutely love it. 2-0 as well. And then the lineups will be posted later. Of course, we'll have the watch along later as well. Everybody, again, before we tune out, everybody, do wish Dave. Keep him in your thoughts, keep him in your prayers, or just keep him in your mind, because he is going through a tough time. There is a bit of a family emergency in his end. We are going to keep pushing on, though. Of course, this is still a big, massive football day, but there are bigger things, I think, in life than football. So everybody, just keep Dave in your thoughts. Just enjoy our Saturday. And yeah, if you do have his number, if you have his email or anything, I'd say just send him a nice message. I think he would really appreciate it. But everybody, on our way out, all we can say is, come on, you Spurs. In Conte we trust, and we will
Come on, you Spurs.
Seeing ya.